Hello everyone, I'm Hugo.
And I'm Jake.
And this is Ask Hugo number 24.
I should get my own segment.
I think you have one, but you just fucked up the numbering.
I don't know if it counts.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it counts because your name is in the title. Jake reads your comments. That's about as much your segment as you could possibly get without getting your own channel.
I may need another one, like the weather. Maybe I can just do the weather from time to time.
We record this like 2 weeks in advance. You're never going to give people accurate weather reports, and we're on the internet, so we'd have to do it for every city in which everyone who watches us lives, and then just do them alphabetically, I guess, and they could skip forward.
It's like, that's so funny. That's like Andy Kaufman levels of funny.
So not funny. Anyways, first question.
Dorian Silk asks Hugo, I need someone else's opinion. What do you guys think of antinatalism? I really just don't know what to think or say about it. For those of you who don't know what antinatalism, it's anti-babies, or anti-birth, basically.
Kind of, and that's for a variety of reasons. Usually, it can be a philosophical reason. It can be sort of a practical reason because of overpopulation. It can be because you think that life itself is a negative thing, so bringing people into the world is a bad thing. There's a lot of reasons. I'm not antinatalist in the sense that I don't think people should have babies, but I do think that the way that we look at having children, at least in the United States, is kind of askew, and we're going to need to go through a shift in the next couple decades, or else it's going to get kind of bad. Because as it stands right now, and this doesn't go for everyone, obviously, but it seems like the popular culture notion is that everyone grows up, has kids, and that's what everyone is supposed to do. But the thing is, half of the parents that I've ever met or seen in public seem like super shitty parents. Some people just shouldn't have kids. So I think it's healthier for everyone if some people just think to themselves, do I really want kids? And not just as a selfish reason, understand that it is a responsibility, and it's gonna take up a big chunk of your life. I see some parents who are like, I have kids, but whatever, and they kind of just let the kids self-parent, or they're kind of just shitty parents in general, and that ends badly for everyone because then you get a shitty adult. Also, I'd like to point out, I don't like kids, so it doesn't really, I wouldn't have kids anyway, but also, I have a history of, like, mental health issues in my family, and I have a personal history of, like, depression and stuff, so even if I kind of wanted kids, I'd probably adopt, just because I don't think it's responsible of me to effectively have a kid that has a high chance of dealing with some of these issues. Not something I would want to put on someone else, and that's how I feel about that. I think antinatalism is reasonable in a case-to-case basis. I think it's completely reasonable to say, I don't want kids, or I don't necessarily want some other people to have kids because they're not going to be responsible, or because of the health defects that they might have.
Also, as in regards to you having your own children, should that ever happen, I agree that you should adopt for two reasons. Number one, they just turn to a miserable cunt. They would hate everything.
Yeah.
You love nothing. They would be the worst. Number two, they would have no skills passed down from you to them.
Oh, I know. I'm worthless. Like, as far as evolution is working correctly. My line has ended now. It's done. Evolutionary dead end. I am no longer part of humanity's future, and that is to the benefit of humanity. You're welcome.
Phil Savage asked Hugo, the first line of my wedding vows is, our love is a Velveeta hurricane. Copyright Phil Savage 2015. That's not a question, but it is awesome.
It's not a question. I just wanted to point that out. I think you deserve a lot of accolades for that, and you seem like the kind of person I would want to hang out with.
I agree. Phil Savage, hit me up. Hayden Spring asks Hugo, have you and Jake ever gotten into a fight with one another, like with fists and stuff? That would be amazing.
That'd be the shortest fight in human history. The fist would come close to my face, and then the wind from the displacement of your fist would hurt me. No, not only have I never been in a fight with Jake, nor do I think I ever will be. I've never been in a fight with anyone. Not a fighter. I'm a runner, and even that I'm not good at. They'd still catch me. It's just a reflex at this point. Again, this is the episode. At the beginning was the preamble. I shouldn't be allowed to have children, and the rest of this episode is basically, and here's why.
You're just fortifying why we should get you a vasectomy immediately.
Yeah.
I've been in 2 fights, and I won both of them, and I don't like it. But connecting a good punch with someone's face that really fucking deserves it, there may be no better feeling.
No better feeling? Penetrating a woman, not better
No.
than punching someone in the face. Okay.
No, I've had all sorts of sex. I've enjoyed it. If I could punch her in the face at the same time, it would be perfect.
You know what? There's a community for you out there, and I'm very proud that you've come out about it.
Tommy Myer asked Hugo, "Dear Hugo, not fucking Jake. Wait, does this mean I'm not included, or you are not allowed to be fucking me while listening to this question?" I'm going with number 2. What is the one thing that pisses you off more than anything else? What really grinds your gears? Is there anything in particular that makes you tick? Perhaps something you think is unique to you?
Not a lot of things make me mad, usually. But one thing that just makes me, not even irrationally, just angry, but just boils me on the inside, is when someone says something, and I'm talking about a public figure usually, that is not just false, but intentionally deceptively false. For instance, a good thing that just happened as an example is one of the Republican presidential candidates. Remember there was the Planned Parenthood shooting a couple days ago, like a week ago?
I think it was Carly Fiorina or whatever.
No, this was a dude. I forget which one it was though, but it's one of them. Here's a picture of him. You would probably guess that guy. Anyway, he had said that there was some sort of rumor going around that the shooter was a transgender liberal.
Yeah, what the fuck was that about?
It was a misunderstanding. There was something on his voter registration. Basically, there was a glitch in the system that had him in as female instead of male. That's the only justification they had for that, and they fucking ran with it. And clearly, if you put 2 seconds of thought into who is going to shoot up a Planned Parenthood, not gonna be a liberal transgender woman. I mean, maybe that's stereotypical, but come on, we fucking live in the real world.
I'm not gonna rule it out altogether, but I'm not betting on it.
Not to mention, you could look at him, and it's clearly an old white man he was a Republican. And since then, of course, he's come out and said no, he's a Republican, and it's. You know, his motivations were that he doesn't like Planned Parenthood. But the point is, there were people out there who were intentionally spreading this rumor because they know that the fact that this guy was a Republican and shot up Planned Parenthood reflected badly on the Republican Party. Now, don't get me wrong, both parties can do this kind of shit, but that's just a good example. When people intentionally spread false information to try and get an agenda across, especially when it's blatant, that makes me so mad.
This person sucks at typing, so I'm just gonna ask this: Are there any movies or shows or anything like that legitimately scare you, even though you're a skeptical atheist that doesn't really believe in anything like that?
Yeah, your typing was really bad on this. Work on your grammar. Maybe you're not. Maybe English isn't your first language, and if that's the case, I get it. But if you are from the United States or England or anywhere that speaks English, not excusable. But anyway,
no, fuck you, Dark A.
We've talked about sort of supernatural movies before and how they don't really scare me. Anything with ghosts or demons doesn't really scare me, but that goes for a lot of horror movies. Even horror movies with a real serial killer doesn't really scare me, even though that's more realistic. The things that scare me tend to be psychological. A good sci-fi with a really good premise can do it. For instance, some episodes of Black Mirror, they're probably the closest I get to being scared. Not really scared, but you ever get that feeling from just a really kind of spine-tingling, fucked up idea? Black Mirror does that sometimes, which is a British sci-fi show, by the way. Like their episode, White Christmas had some really good stuff, which was their Christmas special, last year, and I think that's actually on Netflix now, or so. So if you have a chance, go on Netflix, watch Black Mirror, White Christmas, and it's an anthology show, by the way, so you don't have to see the previous episodes to watch it, though it would be nice, because they all are very good. But stuff like that freaks me out. Ideas about human consciousness and ideas about, what's the worst thing you could put someone in, basically. I know I'm being kind of vague about that, but that's because I want you guys to go watch that episode and find out what I'm talking about. So go watch that, for sure.
I don't really get scared of movies either. My girlfriend does a lot. She can't watch, Weeping Angels, in one sitting sometimes because she freaks out. She's a pussy. But, The Babadook was pretty good. It didn't scare me, but it kind of gave me uneasy feelings, which is his best. That if you do that, you've done a really good job for me. Kind of makes you go, ugh.
You know what else did that to an extent? Jessica Jones, which is that new Netflix series based on the Marvel comic. Some of the stuff that the Purple Man, who's the villain, does, because he's a mind controller, he can force people to do whatever he wants. Some of that made me uneasy, just because it's a creepy concept, someone making you do things against your will.
Eva Stetler asks Hugo, "Hi, Hugo! I have a question about something that's been bothering me. Let me start with the two things. I'm an atheist who lives in the Bible Belt, and I love to volunteer, mostly food drives. The only problem is most volunteer efforts are put forward by the churches, but I sign up anyway because I like helping out our community. Now, I'm getting a bunch of crap about how I'm supporting the church and how I'm not truly an atheist, but I don't feel like it's that at all. What's your opinion on the subject? This is a really good question.
I think it's bullshit that anyone would give you shit for doing charity work, even if it is for a religious organization. Don't get me wrong, if it was between two charities that are doing almost exactly the same work and one is religious and one is secular, I'd choose the secular one because I think that with the religious stuff you get some baggage and sort of an implication that you should, be ministering to people. Of course, I don't think you are, but that's just what I'm saying. As a worker there, part of it is kind of also, hey, Jesus. But still, anyone who gives you shit about doing charity work, even if it is for a religious organization, you should always ask them, what's the last charity work you did, period? Because sitting on your keyboard bitching about people doing charity for a religious organization, like feeding homeless people, they're not helping the homeless people by, hurting the religious, quote, organization. Don't get me wrong, again, I wish there were more people doing secular charity, and if you had the resources, or if I had the resources, or any of us had the resources, it'd be a great thing to do, because I think there should be more secular charities. A lot of it, at least at the grassroots level, ends up coming down to churches, and especially in the future, as fewer and fewer people are going to churches, there's going to need to be something to fill that gap, because there will always be churches, but as fewer people go, they do provide some services, some churches, by the way. I know there are tons of churches that don't do shit, but
Right.
My point is that at the end of the day, if you're helping people, you're helping people, and the religious aspect doesn't necessarily have to come into it for you, so good for you for helping people out, seriously.
Gabriel Rasmussen asks Hugo, hey Hugo, fuck that other guy. Again, is this a command? Is it now like a fanfic sort of yeah, get him with your dick?
All the anti-Jake sentiment in this episode has gotten really aggressively sexual, and I'm really all about that.
In the event that dolphins took over the planet and began to sacrifice humans to their dolphin gods, and their kill order was based on letting the more entertaining humans live longer, how hard would you try to entertain the dolphins?
I'll tell you what's going to happen right now. I'm not going to...
That's the best. That is the best question ever. Thank you.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. I'm not going to try and entertain them the way I do on YouTube, because frankly, I'm aware that I have no entertainment content whatsoever. We get very lucky, and for some reason, several thousand people click on our videos by mistake and then accidentally leave positive comments. What I would do, immediately go into submissive mode. I will become the lowest on the totem of dolphin females, and I will take it by the gross male dolphins. And they will keep me for as long as I'm useful, and I will work it, if you know what I mean. So... don't you worry about me. I'll have a place in Dolphin Society for a while. Not very long, because I won't do blowhole stuff, but pretty close to it.
Oh, see, I was going to ask you, not going to do blowhole stuff. I was going to ask if you're going to do kind of like sexual reassignment surgery, except they add a blowhole to you.
Oh, okay. I'll think about that, but I'm not going to touch their blowholes. Okay, I'll rim it a little, but I'm not going in it. Maybe in it with a finger. I'll get in it.
Ezra Henderson asks Hugo, yo, Hugo! What is something you hate but would totally be a part of if you could? Wow.
This is a good question. If I was given a call and I answered the phone and I said, who is this? And they said, hey, this is Pure Flix Entertainment. We're making God's Not Dead 3. You want to be the villain? I would get on that so hard.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I hate God's Not Dead more than I hate almost any movie that's ever been made, just because it's a shitty movie. Not even necessarily... I'm more offended by the fact that it's a shitty movie than the fact that it treats atheists like villains. But goddammit, if I could get in on that, I would immediately get in there with a proviso in my contract that I have to co-star with Kevin Sorbo. I don't care if it has to be zombie Sorbo. They're gonna bring him in, and we're gonna team up, and we're gonna kill God.
Force Ghost Sorbo?
Yeah, that's pretty much the way you gotta do it. But yeah, that's definitely mine.
Homer Cooper asks Hugo, and me apparently, dear Hugo and Jake, fuck yourself, Homer Cooper. Fuck yourself with whatever the nearest object is. Do it. What are your thoughts on churches converting to non-denominational Christian? Oftentimes they get rid of the classic look. Pews become stadium seating, the altar is replaced by a stage with LED wall panels and a few TVs. The pastors are often on wireless headsets. Basically all the Jesus stuff like crosses and such are removed.
This is interesting. I'm interested that we haven't really gotten this question before, but what I see it as is the world is changing quicker than it ever has before, especially society as a whole and our social constructs. So it's interesting because churches and religion in general tend to be the slowest to embrace social change, and especially in a day and age where that's become super important with things like gays getting rights, and by rights I mean people not being allowed to beat them up because they're gay. There are one of two ways churches can deal with this, and that is A, bunker in and do what a lot of Southern Baptist type evangelical churches do and dig deeper. They're basically waiting for Jesus to come back and just hoping it all blows over. That's not going to happen, of course, so eventually, as their constituents get older and older and older and they die off, there won't be enough young people to replace them. But then there's another group, and that's the non-denominationals and the progressive Christians. And they are trying to do basically the opposite. They're trying to embrace as much as they possibly can without totally fucking their doctrines. They're trying to embrace kind of modern society. And in doing so, they've actually stripped away a lot of the stuff that made Christianity. For instance, a lot of them will de-emphasize the whole hell thing and focus more on the heaven and salvation and the love, which I think is a good thing. It's a net positive if you're going to focus on, love other people. Now, whether or not people actually follow through with that teaching, that's a whole other thing. If Christians were expected to actually do what they're told to do and believe, then, Christianity wouldn't be as much of a problem. But that's not the point. It's just interesting to me that there are these people who are willing to embrace more modern society, but won't let go of the shit that's attached to the bad stuff. That now they're like, okay, we won't tell gays they're going to hell necessarily, and they can come to our church, but we won't necessarily totally say it's okay either. I don't know. It's interesting. My cousin, who is a lesbian, goes to church all the time. She must go to a very progressive church, and I just can't even imagine how did they think that this has anything to do with what Christianity used to be? It's so strange how people don't necessarily see, it's changed so much, it's not even really Christianity anymore. And that you could probably have said a long time ago. Even around the time of the Protestant Reformation, you could have said, this isn't really what Christianity was about, was it? And years before that, and years before that. It changes all the time.
Some people just need that community, and a lot of people prefer it in the framing of a church because it makes them feel like they're accepted. Like, some people don't believe this shit. And some people just go.
I think too that if you polled like 1,000 non-denominational churchgoers and asked them, hey, what do these different denominations believe, whether it be Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, whatever, they probably wouldn't even know. I think non-denominational churches are religion light. They're so you can go and hang out with people and say you believe in something and still think that heaven is a thing, to maybe help you cope with the death thing without having to trouble yourself with all that doctrine and things that, actual religious people debate about. Some people would rather be pissed about me not calling non-denominationals not actual religious people, but let's be real, they're less religious for sure. So that's all the questions for this week. Go ahead and ask me more in the comments, and I will get to them next time. So, thanks everyone. You can always follow us on Twitter at Bible Reloaded.
You can follow Hugo at Hugo Reloaded. You could subscribe and get more questions for Hugo. We only answer questions that subscribers ask. That's not true. There's no way of knowing that. I tried to lie to you, but I'm too honest. Which means that you have to subscribe because we are honest.
You can always donate to our Patreon campaign. We do a once-a-month patron-only hangout, which is actually tomorrow, Saturday the 5th. So tomorrow, if you're watching this the day it came out, and I believe that's going to be at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Indeed, it's going to be a lot of fun. We do things and stuff. Mostly we interact with you guys, and it's really a lot of fun. So we hope as many people can show up as possible, because there's like 300 of you, over 300 of you that consistently donate, and that's awesome. So please come hang out with us. It's awesome. It's fun.
So thanks, everyone. Until next time, I'm Hugo.
And I am Jake.
And this has been Ask Hugo, number 24. Jack Bauer's coming for you. Is that reference still relevant?
Nope.
Oh.
Kiefer Sutherland is washed up.